हेलो एवरीवन, सब लोग देख चुके हैं ये वाला मॉक. अब आई एम आस्किंग हाउ वाज द मॉक, व्हाट्स योर ओपिनियन एंड हाउ डिड यू स्कोर. Is before we start the analysis, I would like to hear a couple of opinions of the mock. That how did you perform? ये कैसा था, LR कैसा था, QA कैसा था. Then we are going to start. So सबका ही अच्छा हो गया.
No response अभी तक. Any response you have received? I hope we are audible.
Yeah, I think we are audible. There are more than 100 joinees and सबका लगता ही. Okay, so Sanat is saying Sanat got better score. VARC accuracy at the basement. Leela is saying. Okay, so Harsh, you scored
I
well.
thought the DILR would have been the killer for students. It seems DILR is not a problem.
DILR was not. Even
Yeah,
I thought
DILR was tough.
Lengthy.
Okay.
Lengthy.
Okay.
So Tanya, that's what makes a difference. That your score might change according to the difficulty level of the exam, but percentiles are the important things. ठीक है. DILR इतना difficult नहीं था यार, तुम लोग क्या लोग. चलो ठीक है. So basically these are past year's score. So
Quant I thought was easy, but let's see what the students have done.
Students have done. So basically 24 के comparison में अगर आप इसको देखो तो it was a little bit difficult as compared to previous year. But if you see, the scores match 2022 paper. 99.5 we had at 93. In 2022 it is 93.4. 99 was 83. That year it was at 84. So basically scores are very clearly more in sync with, instead of 2024 they were in sync with 2022.
Yeah. I think that's not a major issue as such. Ultimately it boils down to, given the paper, how did you attempt it, what decision did you take, which were the right decision and which are the ones you struggled with. So ultimately कहानी घूम पे वही आ जाती है. Akash says DILR tough, VRC moderate, QA easy. Gauri says VRC accuracy crazy. I don't know, crazily good or crazy bad. Okay.
Bas crazy था.
I think VRC seems to be a polarized thing. It is either easy or difficult. Extremes पे ज़्यादा है.
VRC ना.
ठीक है. चलो कोई बात नहीं है. QA, yes, Rajiv, I agree with you. QA was comparatively easier, especially when you compare with the other sections. So definitely एक relief मिला होगा QA पे पहुंच के, especially after DI.
So if you see the scores in QA are crazy high. 99.5 we got at 44 and 99 was at 39.
हाँ, but इसको अगर देखते हैं ना, 99 percentile at for verbal at 42 is maybe half a question ahead or maybe one question. Around 39-40 पे normally 99 percentile आता है, तो वो एक है. QA again 99%. Yeah, just stay there. यहाँ पे DILR is something which I think is something we need to look at. This was a paper more in line with CAT 22 and 23, not CAT 24. CAT 22-23 की lines का paper था ये, शायद उससे थोड़ा सा difficult actually, a little more difficult than that CAT 22-23 also. But Quant is again, I think, as I said, was the savior. And this was a paper in which you could have quite a few questions जिस पे जुगाड़ लगता था actually. ठीक है, चलो. I think we can get started with the verbal section. Jijo is not there. Jijo has shared his PPT, his recording. He is traveling, so we'll play his video for you. Okay.
And I'm guessing Shivku is the one who introduced me. I'm sorry that I could not attend this session live, hence this recording, which is played back to you. With regard to CDC Pro number 3, the VARC section, I don't know the challenges that you faced. I can guess some of the challenges. I can sense it. because I know the logic of this particular test. And I can figure out some of the comments that is coming up in the chat box now, but just hold on. I'm sure that this analysis will help you clarify all those. Okay, so let me just share the screen and we'll start with analysis. There you go. Okay, let's get this proper. CDC Pro number 3 analysis. We will start with this. A couple of things I want to say. One, I want to start with test logic, what the logic of this particular test, and then making sense of the scores of this test, right? We'll start with the test logic. The logic was pretty simple, right? There's a third mock, and I'm sure that you probably would have taken flexi mocks and a lot of other mocks. And what we really want to do is challenge some of your biases. 3 of them, in fact. Number 1, your assumption, the last mocks equals this mocks. Whatever happened to the last mocks, maybe, for example, in the last mocks, you found VA to be absolutely crazy, and then you felt that probably in this mock, VA will be crazy. Therefore, your strategy was according. You may have decided, okay, I'm not going to touch VA. Let me spend more time in reading comprehension because VA is not giving me any marks. All right. Assumption number 2, first impression is final difficulty. You looked at the first passage, NB, and you went, oh, such an easy passage to understand. Oh, then you saw the third passage, which is something about novel, cathedral, dresses. God knows what was going on. You assume the first impression is final difficulty. And the other assumption is if something is difficult, it's not scoreable. So we those are the 3 biases that need to challenge. And let's see what happened. So this is the design of this particular test. Starting with the first passage, let's look at the passage NB. Actually, this was an article or sort of an essay in the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, but this was in fact adapted to change the Freskin grade level to 6.9, make it so easy to understand to kind of lure you into attempt this particular passage. I don't know whether we succeeded, but that was the logic, right? And sort of create questions, even for very specific questions, and even more. Just it's not like everything was question was logical questions. There was just one logical question. In fact, everything else looks. Even the question was such that if something is inference-based question, I'm going to find it very difficult. So there is just one inference-based question. So that was sort of the design. The second was on entrepreneurship, taken from the Journal of Posthumanism. Again, the topic was something that I'm sure that you could understand, but it was a journal entry, a little dense. And the third one was from public books. So this was about a novel, about one particular person's perspective about what novel means to him. And this actually have had all the logical questions. You look at this particular passage here, right? You look at if you had look at this particular passage, you start reading the passage, even though the grade level is actually not very high, but the way in which it's written. And I'm sure that by the time you read 2 sentences, you would have gone crazy. Then probably if you glance for the question, all these are logical questions, you would have probably made an assumption that this passage may be very difficult. The last was on Penguin, taken from this the magazine called Grist. It had sort of a fair amount of questions. And if you look at the verbal ability, the kind of passages were selected were Philosopher's Magazine, Aeon Essays, Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, International Journal, from a book, and a few of them from the usual sources, which kind of means that if on the surface level, if you have a look at it on the surface level, you might feel that these are very, very difficult passages, right, or questions. So this was sort of what the design was, right? And it was carefully created to question those challenges that I believe that you have, right? So this has been the score. So when you look at this, I think this was based on the responses till Monday morning, because I'm recording this now. I'm sure the eventual sort of percentile distribution that you see, maybe 1 or 2 marks here and there, but it sort of gives a sense that it's probably absolutely very, very close to the CAT 2024 story. Maybe these kind of scores may be closer to something like a 2021, but by and large, this particular test had scores, which is this, and I'm guessing that this score distribution would be the better distribution or higher distribution than CDC Pro number 1 and CDC Pro number 2, right? So let's make sense of this score. Starting with accuracy versus attempt. Like I told you, let's start the reading comprehension, right? So, look at this. I was 90% of you took it up, took in, and the attempt of the third one is roughly about, what is it? 30%. So you had this passage being attempted by 30%, this passage attempted by 90%. As a question setter, I could trap you. You fell for my trap. Keats, and what Keats is explained. It was not it was launched as a compliment. It landed as a disparagement. It is somebody is called as American Keats. Don't think it's a compliment. It's actually disparagement. Why? Because of this particular case. So this is sort of easy. And this passage had, they had a lot of data. I'm sure some of the questions, I'm sure that this particular question was a difficult one. I understand whether it weakens in natural divines or stability factors. So these are sort of genuinely difficult one to pick up. I think that did you skip this one? If you had skipped this question, it'd be fantastic. Let go. Some of this question required you to just let it go. No, you there is no point sitting and wasting 2 minutes and getting -1 mark, or wasting extra 3 minutes and getting -1 mark. And all the other questions are pretty actually manageable in this particular case. Supported by the passage, natural base. I don't know whether you actually knew that guano literally means poop. That's a natural base. Anyways, the point is this, that for the next mock, I have 4 things. Don't prejudge. Don't take this. Even if, let's say, don't now assume that the passage is tough, question is going to be easy. Don't prejudge. Engage and engage using logic. Don't just purely go by instinct. I'm saying instinct works, but also use simple logical sense. I think that respect VA. You've got to get marks from VA. Irrespective of whatever happens, you have to get marks from VA, and each mock is a fresh problem. I do understand the lot of questions that you have. How will we ever come to know which passage to do? You do all. In the sense, you don't have to do all the questions. What if the passage only takes about 3 to 4 minutes to read? I think that reading a particular passage is about 3 to 4 minutes maximum. There are times when you spend actually 3 to 4 minutes on a question because you get stuck. Before even the test started, you decided I'm not going to do 4 questions. I will completely teach a particular passage. You've decided. That's pre-decision. So I'm going to leave it to Shivku and the gang to pick up the questions. And yeah, that's it from me. And hopefully for the next one, I'll be live, Shivku. Hopefully. I'm just saying hopefully. But yeah.
Okay, so I'll just remove this. Yeah. Okay, Shashank आया वापस. Okay, let's pick up a few questions from verbal. जैसे 2-4 सवाल हैं, so let's pick them up and let me just pick up. कहाँ पे गया? Okay, let me start from here. Okay. यश का सवाल है, इसको उठा लेते हैं पहले. How to select which questions are set to attempt in RC the way we do in DILR. Okay. Now, Yash, पहली चीज please याद रखो, to be able to decide which set to attempt or which passage to attempt, you need to go through it. And if you are going to go through the complete RC passage to decide, you have already done the work. You might as well answer the question. So unlike DILR, where you can pick up clues by looking at the data and other stuff, when it comes to VARC, in reading comprehension passage, ये नहीं होगा. And secondly, there is by and large, I would say, sufficient time for you to complete the section. So when it comes to DILR, I would say don't worry about choosing these sets. Just go through the passages one by one or the verbal question one by one and keep solving what comes your way. Or if you want to decide to do RC first and then verbal or vice versa, that's fine. But don't look at choosing the sets or the RC passages because that's going to be a complete waste of time. उसके लिए तुमको पूरा पैसेज और क्वेश्चन देखने होंगे. And please remember, passage being difficult or easy is meaningless. What is important is, are the questions going to be tricky or not? And that again you can comment only after looking at the passage and the question. So I would tell you again, just don't worry about this at all. Okay. So don't worry and try to look at this particular part of choosing the right passage. Second thing which I've said last time also, okay, which I had said last time also, कि RC के अंदर और verbal के अंदर try to cut down on time wastage, which means going back to the passage to find the answer to the question, or alternately going above or below, or reading the line again and again to try to understand is going to be completely a waste of time. If you have by and large not understood the first attempt, you are not likely to attempt it at all. Okay? So my suggestion again is just stick to the basics, read the passage, jitna samajh aaya, based on that, mark the answer and continue. Okay. So that's broadly I would suggest iske andar. I don't see any other question with respect to verbal. Most of us put NV passage, got either 1 max 2 right. What could be the reason? Okay. I've not done the passage, so I would not be able to comment. I guess Jijo would have taken care of this question. Okay. Utsav says, when I attempted VRC, I thought that I have attempted less and will score less, but scored 37 when the result came, but was tense about it and missed DILR. Okay. Utsav, first of all, start having faith on you. Because of verbal, you messed up with your quant and DILR. So whatever you have done, remember, if you have attempted less, then maybe others have also attempted less. So तुम्हारा attempt जो है अगर कम है, so it is possibly because you are finding it difficult. If you finding it difficult, so would the others. So that is what you need to remember. कि मैंने जितना कर सकता था किया है. Now let me put my best foot forward in the other sections. Yes, absolutely. Vasudev, औकात score हर section का after every paper. Only then you will know where you have missed out. Which are the questions you should have attempted or not attempted. Yes, quant का भी बात करेंगे. जुगाड़ बहुत सारे थे इसके अंदर. Quite a few questions, and then we will have a look at that. ठीक है? So let's not worry about quant at this point of time. Let's move to DILR, Shashank. Okay. चलो क्या कहते हो शशांक? What would you say about this paper? Shashank, you are on mute.
99.5 और 99 के बीच में केवल 1 मार्क का डिफरेंस है. मतलब एक क्वेश्चन भी नहीं. मतलब अगर आपने एक क्वेश्चन गलत रॉन्ग कम गलत किया है तो आपका स्कोर बढ़ गया.
हाँ, ये शायद एक तीटा गलती से सही हो गया तो 99 से 99.5
आराम से पहुंच गए.
So there's no doubt about it that this was a difficult paper. That at least I'm clear. But I don't think it was so difficult. And this is a paper जिसमें जो बात कर रहे थे ना कि RC में कैसे चूज करना नहीं करना. But DILR में had you chosen the right sets to attempt? For example, that वो JE वाला जो सेट था वो नहीं करना था. I don't know how many have attempted that set. पहला सेट 5वां सेट पक्का करना था. सेकंड सेट अगर टाइम बिताने को तैयार हो तो पक्का करना चाहिए. If there was one set in this paper to be avoided, it was that branch allocation of that JE wala. You leave that set and the rest of the paper would have been sufficiently good for you then. Okay? So let's see.
सर मेरे को लग रहा है कि DI वो अरेंजमेंट वाला IIT वाला सेट आसान था. इतना डिफिकल्ट.
उसमें प्रॉब्लम पता कहाँ था? At least my problem there was one, it has got quite a few parameters to be looked at. Secondly, after 3 questions, there was again additional information. That additional information just meant एक बंदा निकल जाएगा, reallocation होगी, वो ठीक है. But end of the day, it was extra amount of work, and there was no guarantee that I will be able to solve it. Though there was one question which was helpful, but if I compare that with, let's say, set number 2, that जो pyramid था. That pyramid is something which you, if you are willing to spend 15 minutes, वो पक्का सही होगा. That kind of a sector which is going to eat your time, but it will not be incorrect. In 15 minutes, 17 minutes, you'll definitely get, if not all 4-5 questions, maybe one or wrong. Okay? Vasudev was again saying, what is the trick to identify easy sets or difficult set, and does it depend on individual strength? Yes, Vasudev, to some extent it depends on your individual strength and weakness. But within that, there's a process which you need to follow. If you look at the DILR overview, which which should have been available by now, you will find that that you'll get the process. Every mock I do this DILR and quant overview where I explain the logic which I would use to choose which sets to attempt and which one not to attempt. I will share my logic. You may or may not agree with it fully, but you need to have a similar logic for yourself. So the logic can be yours, but the process has to be followed. And my session, Vasudev, as I said, is please go through the DILR overview video of this particular mock and the earlier ones also.
So, sir, the reason I am saying कि ये वाला जो सेट है ना IT वाला सेट, ये वाला सेट एक्चुअली मैंने बनाया था, तो मुझे लग रहा है इसमें थर्ड वाला क्वेश्चन और फर्स्ट वाला क्वेश्चन आसान थे. ठीक है,
ठीक है. देखो उसमें चलो we'll discuss that. Let's look at this particular. एक बार अगले स्लाइड पे जाओ, देखते हैं क्या है कहानी. ये स्कोर्स तो बहुत डिप्रेसिंग है. ये
स्कोर्स तो बहुत डिप्रेसिंग है. हाँ.
See, my challenge is with the fifth set. My challenge is that the first set people have not done right. Okay.
First should have been done right.
Yeah, to me that is the issue which I have. Okay. So when I look at this particular paper, to me the issue is boss first वाले set में क्या problem हो गई, fifth वाला set क्यों इतना मुश्किल है, and fifth वाले set में there was one question which was helpful in terms of choices which helped you get to the answers faster.
Right.
Okay, there was one question which was clearly helping you get to the answer. जिसमें गौरव की रैंकिंग या वो पूछा था,
गौरव का वेट लिस्ट नंबर क्या है, and once you figure out it is either 9 or 10 or 11, you are going to get the set complete.
Okay, so to me that is the issue, that first set people have not done, second set they have, and second set question 29-30 were the easiest two questions I would say.
Right.
क्योंकि शुरू वाले सवाल थे, बाद वाले सवाल के लिए you had to do the work. I think these are the two questions जिसमें second highest prime number और y की value मांगी थी ना. So to me, this is the problem. If you are willing to spend about 15 minutes in second set, you would have got the entire thing right. First set, I am surprised. Frankly, first and fifth set are the surprises for me. I am not too worried about the fact कि fourth set में कम हुआ ज़्यादा हुआ, because that वो थोड़ा set theory का फंडा है, थोड़ा complication है उसके अंदर, मैक्सिमा मिनिमा के सवाल है, तो वो थोड़ा पीछे हो सकता है.
नहीं, लेकिन उसमें
but the way I looked at this paper, to me the sets to be attempted were first set, except fourth set, the other sets should have been attempted, attempted.
If I wanted to attempt this paper, I would have definitely done set 2. Set 2 तो सीधे pro में लिखते जाओ, you will get the answers.
हाँ. Set 2 में होगा क्या इसमें? If you look at that ना, after you have done the first two questions, some student will hit a wall and will not know how to proceed. But उसके दो सवाल तो करने बनते थे ना.
Right.
Similarly, पहला सेट पक्का था, पांचवा सेट.
नहीं,
So I don't know where students struggled in these sets.
लेकिन सर आप इस तरह एक चीज देखो, जो चार्ट है, चार्ट ये बोल रहा है लोग का पहला दूसरा ही गलत है. एक्यूरेसी सेकंड सेट में पहले दूसरे क्वेश्चन में ही खराब.
हाँ, I'm very very shocked, which is why I said that I find it very surprising. Yeah.
And in third वाला set,
and Deval and Shreyas, DILR sets felt doable, which was good about this paper. Ki everything looked doable, and which is why selection becomes extremely important. Okay? For example, set number 1. If I look at just set number 1, it's a 4x4 table, na? You have to identify what is the actual name and code name and the points. It is a small set of data. If you look at the questions, you can see that maxima minima थोड़ा बहुत है, but it is still doable. Second set is very clearly something which is going to help you, going to give you sufficient data is given. All you need to do, as Shashank said, flow में लिखते जाओ, अपने आप आएगा. अभी उसके वो देखते हैं हम. ठीक है. To me, what is surprising is that set number 3. Set 3 था कि 4 था वो वाला?
वो set theory वाला.
No, not set theory.
IT वाला.
Set number 4. To me, set number 3 and 4 are challenge. Set number 3 में challenge था कि all questions were theta, if I remember correctly. Which means, and the questions were about maxima minima. So you can never be sure about the answer. And maxima minima with set theory kind of sets, and it was not 3 sets, it was 5 sets. Which means figure नहीं बना सकते थे. So all that was complicating things, and that could have been kept for later. बट 1 and 5 पक्का करना चाहिए था. सेट नंबर 2 में 15-17 मिनट पक्के देने चाहिए थे.
GB has joined us.
Yes. गौतम बाबा ने इसका सॉल्यूशन रिकॉर्ड किया. गौतम, वी आर डिस्कसिंग DILR एंड आई वाज टेलिंग शशांक को सबसे बड़ा शॉक इसको देख के 2-3 लगे हैं. फर्स्ट शॉक इज सेट नंबर 1 and 5 में हालत खराब है.
Wow.
The second shock is in the set number 2, वो जो पिरामिड वाला था, पहले 2 सवाल जो मुझे लग रहा था which are the easiest two question, उसी में लोगों ने गलती की है.
Correct. Absolutely.
Okay. So Gautam, there are a couple of students asking how to pick up the set, how to avoid rereading the set again and again.
So GP, what I have the entire DILR section with me, the printout. First and foremost, apologies for the delay. वो कावर के वजह से घर अभी पहुंचा हूँ 5 मिनट पहले, so 3 घंटे लग गए पहुंचते because of the कावर यात्रा. So apologies for the delay. Just a couple of things. So सबसे पहले guys, if I were to look at this DILR section, I was the one who's gone ahead and recorded this. When I read
Gautam, just a second. Shashank, एक मिनट थोड़ा सा पीछे जाओगे. Gautam would not be aware of the scores versus percentile. Yeah.
So GP, if you remember, this is what I was stating this morning.
Yes.
15 पे 90 तो guarantee होगा.
It is worse than what you said.
Yeah, I said 15 पे 90 guarantee होगा. When I had seen the paper and I was having a discussion with GP this morning, I was saying at 15 marks, 90 percentile is a guarantee according to me. As we can see, roughly at 15, maybe it was a 94 or a 93 percentile or something. So quite close to what I felt. And I think that's what I felt the first time I looked at the paper. The first set you read it, it sounds okay, it sounds doable, ठीक है, थोड़ा सा LR उसमें involved है, basic थोड़े numbers के साथ खेलना होगा, अच्छा लगा. Second set पे आए, वापस for somebody who likes numbers, it was something wow, ये भी अच्छा है, चलो sum of two numbers is equal to a number, इस concept पे full based है. और देख के समझ आ रहा था कि वो pyramid में first 4 from the top if you go, the first 4 rows if you look at, they are doable. Problem आएगी 5th row में कुछ है नहीं, 6th row में 2 numbers है, क्या होगा पता नहीं, but doable. Then comes the third set में अच्छा ये पता नहीं, एक तो Venn diagrams generally is not an issue, but Venn diagrams with maxima minima, 5 parameter and theta. So look at the parameters, 5 parameter, Venn diagram, maxima minima and theta, and 3 out of 4 questions theta. So for a person who is generally okay with Venn diagrams, I was like ठीक है ये set छोड़ना है for sure. Next set, अब वो set मेरे को समझ नहीं आ रहा, ये शशांक का pet set है, हम लोग के बीच में discussion भी हुआ एक बार. ये set में when you read it, look at all that was happening. They are talking about preferences. So subjects, you will first have to identify the preference order. उस preference order में they've given a particular condition कि उस preference के अंदर भी तुम्हें priority of subjects को consider करना है. So preference पे भी एक condition दे दिया गया है. उस preference के basis पे अब तुम्हें क्या दिया जाएगा in terms of allocation, उस पे भी conditions है. एंड देन उसके बेसिस में रैंकिंग निकालनी है. एंड उसके बाद 2 और क्वेश्चन है जहां पे एक और गुगली डाल दी कि अब हम कुछ चेंज कर रहे हैं. रैंकिंग वैंकिंग सब हो गया, एलोकेशन हो गया, नाउ वी आर चेंजिंग. द गुड पार्ट वाज रीडिंग दैट यू न्यू ये नहीं करना है. एटलीस्ट दैट्स व्हाट आई फेल्ट द मोमेंट आई रेड इट. दैट इज द गुड पार्ट. द बैड पार्ट, आई हैव रेड 4 सेट्स, 2 seem to be sets that you should not touch, 2 you can touch but they don't seem straightforward. Matlab even the easiest set will probably take you about 10-12 minutes, which is probably the first one, and second set might take longer. Then comes the last one, once again waitlist wala. Again read करके सही लगा, but if you start looking at the conditions you realize इसके अंदर भी अगर मैं एक बार read करूं, you start looking at the questions upfront जब आप देखोगे. Let's look at the questions. The questions were, sorry,
do you want me to
yeah, if you can share the PDF, it nothing like it. I have the printout, so I'm going by that. First was how many different scores are possible. So you basically understand कि multiple cases होंगे, because अगर different total scores बोल रहे, there is not one unique answer, there are going to be multiple answers. Second question was fine, which is what is the name of the person disguised as Burn. ठीक है, one was either 1 or 2, but at least देख के लगा ठीक है कोई fight नहीं है, direct question है. How many different values of A are possible? Again, it showcases cases हो सकते हैं, multiple answers हो सकते हैं. Which of the following cannot be Udit's average in the 3 rounds? again problem कि हाँ multiple answers आ सकते हैं, नहीं हो सकता. So even the last set which seemed हाँ मैं straight away उठा के कर सकता हूँ, when you read it for the first time in those first 5 to 8 minutes, the problem is it is categorically pinpointing towards what? It is categorically pinpointing towards direct answer नहीं आएगा, cases आएंगे. So now when you spend the first 7-8 minutes on such a set, 2 sets are out, set 3 and 4. And those of you who actually picked them up as one of your first 2, I think this is a good eye opener from the perspective that probably your identification of which set to pick up and the parameters that you are utilizing to identify which sets to pick up needs a little bit of work. Like I stated, set 3 clearly आपको बता रहा है मैं वेन डायग्राम हूं, मैं 5 पैरामीटर हूं, मैं मैक्सिमा मिनिमा हूं और मैं टीटा हूं, मुझे मत लो. It is telling you 4 reasons to not pick me, but you are still saying नहीं यार वो हमें लाइन नहीं मारता वही सबसे ज्यादा पसंद आता है. और उसी के पीछे some of y'all went. And then again the next set which is the AIR one. The problem with that set is many of y'all might have actually gone through it, you know, that process real life में. तो लगा होगा यार ये तो मेरे साथ हो चुका है, maybe I can understand this real life, I have gone through it, becomes little easy to handle. And वही प्रॉब्लम उठ के आती है कि रियल लाइफ में तो हुआ, पर रियल लाइफ में आप फ्रंट एंड पे थे, आपको बस आउटपुट चाहिए था, इनपुट से कैसे ये हो रहा था दैट यू वर नॉट कंसर्न्ड विद, एंड दैट इज नॉट एन इजी थिंग टू डू. सो आई थिंक टू मी द बैड पार्ट ऑफ दिस पेपर वाज देख के समझ आ रहा था बहुत डिफिकल्ट है. You know, it will not be easy to crack any set into any set in about 5, 7, 8 minutes. ये भी देख के नहीं लग रहा था questions देख के that there is a lot that I will get from the questions. It wasn't that there were a lot of questions stating, oh, please use these options, please go ahead and do that. Even then, I think a couple of questions did give a little bit of a hint, but not in all of them. The good part was when something like this happens, it is good for students who generally focus on accuracy rather than speed. Because this was a clear-cut indicator that you might have about 33 to 35 minutes to focus on 2 sets, spend 16 to 18 minutes per set and try to get 2 of them. And anybody who followed that methodology, or say 10 question, maybe 8 maybe attempt मार दिए, and you got say about 7 or so right, I'm sure you were very, very close to a 97 to a 99 percentile. And 10 अगर 10 attempt कर लिए and 2 wrong, you might be 22 to 23, which I think would be 99 plus. If we go back to what it was, I think 24 पे मैंने 99.5 देखा.
99.5 बना है, 23 पे 99 है, 24 पे 99, 24 पे 99.5 है और 23 पे 99 है.
So you can look at the bunching that has happened, and you know this is very similar, if I'm not wrong, GP Shashank, I think CAT 23 ऐसा ही bunching था, 1 mark पे 5% है, 1 mark पे 5% had increased, and that is exactly what has happened here. 1 mark 5%. So to me ट्रेड ऑफ था. On one hand, एक मजेदार शॉक लगा 5-7 minutes, but after that I was like, this is a good thing as well, at least I can spend 15-17 minutes per set, but not an easy DILR paper for sure, and a very good test of which sets to pick up.
GB, let me tell you one thing. You are telling कि set 3 set 4 छोड़ने हैं, right? Yeah. If you look at the graph, there are only 2 greens. There are 2 greens. One is in set 3, one is in set 4. बाकी सारे set जो कर रहे हैं, everything is either red or yellow.
I just saw that. And set 4 का तो if you just go back to the PPT once, Shashank, if you just go back to the PPT once and we look at that graph, I just want to see set 4 का वो कौन सा question है?
Third वाला.
Question सेट 4 का कौन सा क्वेश्चन?
थर्ड वाला जो बहुत आसान था, एक बार टेबल में वही भर लो तो.
How many students have given ME as the second? Actually, this is a good thing to see because this is probably the easiest question of this set, because ये आप एकदम स्टार्टिंग में कर रहे हो जब आप
not on the set of the paper. क्योंकि अगर तुमने डेटा ठीक से पढ़ा तो दिखता है वो.
Yeah. Correct. So this is a good thing to see that at least some people realize that one question should surely have been attempted. Next है third set का fourth question.
Fourth question वो option वाला है.
Third set का fourth question. This is the only question in that option. Again, I think this was slightly easier to do because you could have easily eliminated एक करके. So this is a good thing to see that of the two difficult sets, students were smart enough to identify the easy question. I just hope this had not happened at the expense of getting 3 questions wrong. Spending 15 minutes getting 3 wrong and 1 right. Net कोई benefit नहीं हुआ होगा ज़्यादा. If this was done from the perspective मैंने 1 and 4 identify कर 1 and 5 identify कर लिया, 1 and 2 identify कर लिया, and फिर ये additional है, feeders giving me 3 marks, 6 marks, great. Otherwise, I think problem.
So Anirudh, I'm sorry, I'll take care of it next time. I won't do it again.
गिरीश कह रहा है, गिरीश says इतना कंडीशन एनालाइज करने में 5 मिनट निकल जाएंगे. गिरीश 5 मिनट लगाने हैं. If you are not willing to spend the 5, 7, 8 minutes in analyzing the paper to identify what to attempt, the performance is going to be what is shown in the graph. If you want the good performance, please spend the first 5, 7 minutes understanding the paper. And which is what I meant by saying in RC you cannot do this. But in DILR you have sufficient pointers to be able to identify कौन सा करना है कि नहीं करना है. So to me out here it was very clear. 1 and 5 तो पक्का कर सकते हो, 3 भी कर सकते हो. तो गौतम बाबा कह रहे वेन डायग्राम वाला, ठीक है, उसको छोड़ सकते हो. But set number 2 तो अगर 15 मिनट लगाओगे तो पक्का होगा. So the point here is you can easily identify कि set 4 को हाथ नहीं लगाना, which is not what you can do in RC. So Girish, please make it a habit that you go through the data before you decide which sets to attempt.
And when people are saying कि 5 मिनट 10 मिनट नहीं लगाना है, 8 questions पे 99.5 बन रहा है, 8 questions पे. So even if you are spending 15 minutes or 20 minutes, you are doing great. And ये हर बार की कहानी है.
And Sanat, I will agree with you. Every set there was 1 or 2 easy questions ना, वही निकालते जाते तो 4-5 सेट में 8-10 सवाल वैसे ही हो जाने थे. ठीक है. So my point essentially here is that every set had couple of easy questions. You could have picked those. Set number 2, the first 2 questions were very easy. उसके बाद मेहनत चालू होती थी. Unfortunately, those two questions most of you have got them wrong. Okay, but I'm sure when you look at the solution, you realize that ये तो miss हो गए.
GP would actually tend to state this is actually a kind of paper where either of the strategies would.
बहुत आवाज कट रही है तुम्हारी.
Okay, sorry, I'm audible now.
Some disturbance is coming, Gautam. Yes,
better now?
Much better.
So I'm just going to say, according to me, this was a paper where either of the strategies could have worked. If you were smart enough and you identified 2 sets and stated मैं 15 minutes लगाऊंगा, that would have worked. Or you could have said, I will look at all 5 sets and identify 2 questions. This is one of those few papers where either of the strategies would have worked.
Yeah. ठीक है. So, and Yash, this was a shade more difficult than DILR of CAT 23. Okay, so that's fine. The issue is not whether it was difficult or easy. Difficult in terms of the performance, but if I look at an absolute level, I would say this was at par with CAT 22-23, not more difficult. Gautam, note kar lo. We'll have to get this rectified. Some students are saying
it's not
score versus percentile is not clearly visible.
Sure. We'll get that resolved. इसमें 2 things, GP, 1 or 2 things, because वो मैंने बोला तो मैं उठा भी लेता हूँ. For example, if we look at that preference वाला set ना, one question even in that set, which is what is the closing AIR for CS? This is something that we could have used options for.
Yeah.
So I just want
Shashank, can you go to the question paper?
Just give me.
Yeah. तो अगर ये वाला देखे ना, अब initially when you read statement number 3, इससे 505 आ जाता है that preference 1 को 5 बच्चे होंगे, preference 3 को 5 बच्चे होंगे, preference 2 को 0 बच्चे होंगे, right? And if you just go up and look at the table once, अब शशांक थोड़ा ऊपर जाओ एक बार टेबल पे, आप ये देखोगे कि CE allocation 2 लोगों को हो गया B and D. So look at J allocation ME को नहीं हो सकता क्योंकि वो बीच में है, CE को नहीं हो सकता बिकॉज CE के दोनों गए, तो CS को ही हो सकता है. Right at the beginning you can identify that J allocation is CS. Also you know कि same subject के दो students को एक साथ मिलता है. So 15, 16 are together, 17, 18 are together. So 15 से शुरू होता है कि
16, 17 गौतम. Start with 2016.
16. So 16, 17 are together, 18, 19 are together. अब 19 CS को मिल रहा है, तो मतलब 18 भी CS है. CS closes rank at 1019. This question could have actually been solved without doing anything in this set. There was this one question that was there.
And 16-17 जो होगा वो E को ही मिल सकता है.
Exactly. उससे फिर वो आ जाता है. So there is a little bit of work that can be done there. So conventional method तो दिखाया, but I had spoken about this when I've written the solution. Similarly, if we go to the other set, वो गौरव एक था ना, कौन सा सेट था?
Next वाला set. हाँ.
हाँ, ये वाला. Yes, ये वाला. Once again, इधर हमें पता है आरव बीच में बैठा है, 15 पे है. ठीक है, ये पता है 3 कम है 3 ज्यादा है. That concept is basically there. Now if you read here, there is a statement which is statement 5. In the wait list, the number of passengers between Beena and Arav is 3 more than the number of passengers between Chirag and Arav. इससे क्या आता है? You get Beena plus Chirag is equal to twice Arav plus 3. मतलब Beena plus Chirag is equal to 33. And now if you go down, look at the questions. Go down, look at the very second question, which is wait list number of Gaurav. अब हमें पता है गौरव एंड चिराग के बीच में 6 लोग हैं, एक स्टेटमेंट थी, which means गौरव minus चिराग is 7. If गौरव is 9, चिराग is 2. If चिराग is 2, Beena is 31 because चिराग plus Beena is 33. Not possible. If गौरव is 10, चिराग is 3. Beena becomes 30. वो भी एक contradiction हो जाएगा. Only possibility was गौरव 11. You could have used this option to get to गौरव 11 and गौरव आता तो चिराग आता तो Beena आती फातिमा आते. 4 people done through one question. So in these two questions, or in these two sets, there were these two questions which were very helpful. But वही बात है, ये पेपर इतना डिफिकल्ट था कि ये सब चीजें उस स्ट्रेसफुल सिचुएशन में स्ट्राइक करेगी कि नहीं, इज द पॉइंट, which basically boils down to, do I have enough practice of identification of sets? Do I have enough practice of being on the lookout for questions जहां से मुझे कुछ मिले? And ये पेपर में इतने कम questions थे जो कुछ additional data दे रहे थे कि this was almost like a blessing in disguise. कुछ तो मिला, डूबते को तिनका का सहारा, you know, almost like that. So I think sorry,
yeah, गौतम मैं खाली इतना कहता, इसका मैं जुगाड़ वीडियो इसका DILR का नहीं बनाया because you have solved the sets and you have already used जुगाड़ to solve. So I have not made DILR जुगाड़ video just for the information of students. क्वांट का बनाया not for
जुगाड़ दिखे. I don't know और कोई जुगाड़ है कि नहीं, मेरे को तो यही दिखे.
नहीं, और है नहीं, वही दो तीन यही है और कुछ नहीं है इसके अंदर. जहां पे हो सकता था वहां टीटा डाल दिया.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem. That is the third problem with this paper. मतलब टीटा थोड़े ऐसे क्वेश्चंस में डालते ना जहां हमें कुछ शॉर्टकट नहीं, जहां चाहिए कुछ, जहां यूज करना है, कोई मदद चाहिए, वहां टीटा कर दिया. गेम खेली गई है हमारे साथ पेपर सेटर द्वारा.
But देखो, my point here would be, my expectations from the students here would have been that you should have picked up at least a couple of sets and solved them completely. To me, set number 1, set number 2, set number 5 are the ones which you should have been able to pick up. जो Venn diagram set theory वाला है, चालो टीटा है, you may want to keep it for later, that is perfectly fine. जो allocation है वो भी छोड़ सकते हो. तो मेरा इशू ये है कि जो आसान चीजें उठा सकते थे वो नहीं लिया है. To me, that is the problem. Okay? And the other strategy was do a couple of questions from each set. That was also eminently doable. But then you need to be continuously moving. And that is something I would want students to go through this paper again and say, okay, क्या कर सकता था मैं? Where did I goof up? If I selected a particular set, was that the right set for me to attempt? Or maybe, and if no, why not? For example, I have a difference of opinion. Gautam के हिसाब से वो टीटा वाला जो था, that set theory was very difficult. To me, it was comparatively not difficult, but I would understand for most students it is going to be difficult because उसमें theta है, maximum minimum 5 set की set theory है. So that's perfectly fine to leave it. So you need to match it to your strength and say, okay, how do I take it forward?
I think it's a very relevant question, which is basically what we are stating.
and somebody is stating this from their own personal experience, which is मेरे को CAT 25 found it to be slightly difficult. Later on, I got to know it's easy.
GB,
And
your
yeah.
voice is
Okay,
fluctuating.
then somebody else could pick it up.
Yeah. Okay, शशांक मैं इस पे बात कर चुका हूं, तो why don't you respond to this question?
How to know DILR is easy or tough? In my opinion, we come to know about DILR whether it was easy or tough after the paper. During the paper, no one realizes anything. ठीक है, सबकी लगी पड़ी है पेपर के बीच में. ठीक है.
नहीं ड्यूरिंग द पेपर में ये पता चलता है कि मेरे को हो रहा है कि मेरे से नहीं हो रहा है. एंड माय रूल इज वेरी सिंपल. मुझसे हो रहा है तो सबसे मुझसे नहीं हो रहा तो किसी से नहीं हो रहा होगा, और मुझसे हो रहा है तो भी किसी से नहीं हो रहा होगा.
तो भी किसी से नहीं हो रहा. आई एग्री टोटली.
बिकॉज उससे हो रहा है, मुझसे हो रहा है, तो मैं बेकार में स्पीड मारूंगा, करूंगा. आई विल वर्क एट माय पेस. सेकंड थिंग व्हिच आई विल ऑलवेज डू इन दिस पेपर इज जो सामने सही दिखता जाएगा करता जाएगा. जहां पे एनी क्वेश्चन दैट लुक्स कंफ्यूजिंग आई विल बी हैप्पी टू लीव इट. So to me it is not important to find out whether it's a difficult or an easy paper. What it is important in this paper is to understand that if I can solve, I have to solve. If I can't solve, I have to leave and move to the next question. The problem happens when we are unwilling to move. We get stuck with that question. That is a problem which needs to be avoided. So Emerald, one of the things which you need to do is all the mocks that you have taken so far and we need to take in future. Every paper, go through the set which you found difficult. Ask yourself what made it difficult. Every set that you found easy, ask yourself what made it easy and how could I have identified it without looking at without solving the question. जैसे वो सेट थ्योरी वाले में गौतम ने 4-5 बेंचमार्क दे दी ना, 5 सेट्स, मैक्सिमा मिनिमा थीटा, 3 clear indicators. ठीक है. Similarly for that branch allocation, Gautam again gave you 3-4 indicators. Those are the indicators you need to look at after the paper for all sets that you have solved or not solved, so that in future you are able to pick out the right sets. Okay.
So
इसका follow-up question भी है. इसका follow-up question. So how to know whether to stick to 8-minute, 15-minute set? You don't know. कहते जाओगे, जो समझ आता जाएगा वो करोगे तो अपने आप 8 मिनट में निकल जाएगा. नहीं समझ आ रहा फिर भी करोगे तो 25 मिनट भी लग जाएंगे. Okay, so what you are trying to do is you are looking for certainty. In these papers, Indian exams are notorious for one factor: surprise. CAT this year cannot be compared with CAT last year or the year before last or the year before last. These are all benchmarks. Someone was asking in the question, are these sets CAT level? What is CAT level? No, none of us know. We know that there's a paper given and we have to maximize within that paper. If you look at last year's CAT versus 23 versus 22, there's a world of a difference between these papers. So don't worry about whether level क्या है. तुम्हारा काम बहुत सिंपल है. समझ आया, सॉल्व कर लो. नहीं समझ आया, छोड़ के अगले पे जाओ.
And one more insight I follow in DILR. I don't assume that it is a paper of 5 sets. I go with it is a paper of 22 questions. So my job is to maximize my attempts. वो set से भी आ सकता है, वो individual question से भी आ सकता है. Right. So as GV was discussing के वो वाला जो question था, क्या कहते हैं, branch allocation वाला question, उसमें जो CS की closing rank पूछी थी, उसके लिए तो कुछ भी नहीं करना था. You just see 2 consecutive है, एक आंसर आया, छोड़ो, आगे चलो. उसके आगे वो सेट मेरे ख्याल से करने वाला भी नहीं था. ठीक है. सो अब जैसे अपना लास्ट वाला सेट है, उससे भी 2-3 क्वेश्चन तो हो ही जाएंगे. पहले वाले सेट से भी 2-3 हो जाएंगे. सो इफ यू आर इवेंचुअली एंडिंग अप एट 7 क्वेश्चंस, 8 क्वेश्चंस और 9 क्वेश्चंस, यू आर डूइंग ग्रेट इन एलआर. और ये हर साल की कहानी है कि 8-9 क्वेश्चन बढ़िया ही होते हैं, खराब तो कभी नहीं होते 8-9 क्वेश्चन डीआई में. So I don't know why to worry so much about कि मुझे 15 क्वेश्चन करने हैं, 18 क्वेश्न करने हैं. DILR में I don't think anyone is solving 18 questions out of 22.
Okay, one last question I'll pick up for DILR, then let's move to quant. I'm able to attempt it by taking more time, so with regular practice with my speed increase. Shivam, your speed will increase partly with practice, but mainly by revision. All these sets that you struggle with, all these sets that you take time to solve, the ones which confuse you a little, these are the sets you need to revise once a week. एक हफ्ते में एक दिन dedicate कर दो for revision. सुबह से शाम बैठ के सारे वो वाले DILR sets करो, the one which create problem for you. So it is repetitive, repeating the same sets again and again, revising these sets again and again, which will help you in increasing the speed. Speed increase does not have with practice; it happens by revision. Okay. Yeah. So shall we move to quant now?
One last question, GP, perhaps this we could pick up because I think there are a few students. Zero पे क्या percentile है मैंने देखा नहीं. कैट में कई बार होता है कि जीरो पे भी 40-50 परसेंटाइल आ जाता है. दिस इज अ काइंड ऑफ मॉक जहां उसके आसपास होगा परहैप्स. आई डोंट नो बट few students might have
actually. CAT 14 का famous paper था. 0 marks पे I had 55 percentile.
Yeah, and the cutoff for some B school was I think lower for ST if I'm not wrong.
I would, if I was ST category, I would have got a couple of calls. But देखो, if you have not been able to solve a single question DILR, ask yourself, was it lack of knowledge or were you just flirting with each set? सेट देखा, चलो 2-4 मिनट 5 मिनट लगाए, चलो दूसरा देखते हैं, तो वो भी उस पर 2-4-5 मिनट, चलो वो तीसरा देखते हैं. If you keep moving from set to set without spending time on a set, this is likely to happen. Okay? So either it is going to be you are completely a novice, you have not even started preparing for DILR. Even then, this should not happen, but that can be one case. The other case is you are not able to stick to one set and you are panicking and you are rushing from one set to the other set or one question to the other question. So, Monster, please check which of the two is the issue for you. And that is what you need to address.
Yeah, I think the most important part here is try kitna kiya, fight kitni mari. Wo just be truthful to yourself on that aspect.
And Gautam, fight मारने के लिए सेट पे टिकना पड़ेगा.
Exactly, try, stay there. ये किया नहीं किया कि ये हुआ नहीं भाई, ये मुझसे होगा नहीं. 2-4 मिनट देखा, ये नहीं होगा next. And I've also seen the data, GP. There are quite a few students who did not even spend 40 minutes on DILR. They quit it between 20 minutes and 30 minutes. So
Gautam, यार वो फीचर बंद कर देना चाहिए. Let the student be forced to spend 40 minutes. Let's she will get that changed. They should not be allowed to quit midway.
Sure, we'll do that. We'll do that.
Competitive exam is asking what should be our homework. Last question. हम last class करते तीसरा या चौथा last हो गया, but ठीक है. Competitive exam, go through all the DILR sets that you have attempted in the mocks or daily dose. Identify the month which you are struggling with. Okay, हो जाते हैं, but they confuse you. Look at the sets where you can use jugaad. Revise those sets. Yes, you have to do new sets, but there has to be a balance between new sets and revision. If you keep practicing and don't revise, you will keep forgetting. Revision ensures memory. Memory retention, speed, accuracy is a function of revision, not practice. Okay. So let's go to quant now.
Everyone is happy in the section of quant. Look at the scores. I think
Shivko, I think you're on mute if you're saying something. Yeah.
No, Shashank is saying they were happy with the quant. I think it is fair to be little happy with 2 sections and sad with 1 section. That's cat.
So इसमें तो बढ़िया स्कोर दिख रहे हैं. 99.544, 99.39, तो सबका स्कोर अच्छा है. And I think quant has compensated DILR, the difficulty of DILR. So overall score increased because of that. So,
I'm actually surprised with quant scores. I mean, I didn't think it will be this easy. I think at least it is 1 or 2 questions easier than what I expected.
चिपको इसमें ना काफी सवालों में जुगाड़ लग गया. अभी देखते हैं उसमें, but quite a few questions.
Quant was lengthy. It was not lengthy. I mean, the average length. See, Sanat, we also look at the average length of questions when we make the paper. It is almost at par with the CAT papers.
right. Should I share?
Oh, so many greens here.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 14 greens. Not bad.
14 greens.
बट 14 ग्रीन्स है, बट अटेम्प्ट ज्यादा नहीं है. जो पीछे वाला शैडो में देखो, अटेम्प्ट ज्यादा नहीं है, which
ये वो
means
शैडो ठीक नहीं दिख रहा मेरे इस पे. आई थिंक वो टीम को बोलना होगा थोड़ा डार्क कर दे शैडो को आगे से.
1, 2, 3. There are only 3 questions that have
been attempted by more than 50.
50 or more 50, more than 50.
That's
केवल
poor.
3.
शशांक, क्वेश्चन पेपर ले लेते हैं. लेट्स गो स्ट्रेट टू द क्वेश्चन पेपर. ओके, जो अच्छा था, which are difficult ones, 50, 63, 64, 67. 50, 63, 64, 67. चलो, let's look at the question paper. I am pleasantly surprised कि पहला सवाल लोगों ने जल्दी कर लिया, but इसमें question 47, they should have, I felt they could have done it faster. It was showing us some 3.5 minutes people have spent. Okay. And to me, the starting point for this question was that the amount of work C has done is 10 by 22. 5:7:10 है, वहीं से शुरू हो जाता है. And C has worked for some 5 days, if I remember correctly. In 5 days, 10 by 22, this was a 1.5, 2-minute question, not a 3.5-minute question. So those of you who have done this question and taken more than 2.5 minutes, you need to look at the question again. मैं जुगाड़ solution डाला, उसको देख लेना एक बार. But the key thing here was I don't need to worry about A and B at all. Question is how many days can C solve complete the entire project? C does, the ratio of payment is 5:7:10. So C has done 10 by 22 of the work in 5 days. That gives you the answer straight away. Question 48 तो standard सवाल है, quadratic equation है. शशांक, can you check क्या percentage attempt है इस question का, question 48 का?
Question 48 का accuracy is 51 around. So लेकिन question number 48. So question number 48, I found it very easy because LHS 5rx plus 1/5rx, RHS को 4 plus 1/4 लिख सकते हो, तो 5rx सीधे 4 आ जाएगा.
Very good. ये मेरे को नहीं स्ट्राइक किया, but that's a very good solution.
तो
जुगाड़ solution में पहले मैं रिकॉर्ड नहीं किया होता तो मैं डाल देता. But guys, please, I hope we have understood what you said.
वैसे नॉर्मल सॉल्यूशन में वही है जीपी, 4 + 1/4 ही लिख.
हाँ जी, but वो मैंने सॉल्व किया ना, मैंने क्वाड्रेटिक इक्वेशन बना के सॉल्व किया. बहुत बुरा लग रहा है इस क्वाड्रेटिक इक्वेशन क्यों बनाई.
नहीं, बट तुम्हारा 47 वाला क्वेश्चन अटेम्प्ट ना, आई थिंक दैट्स ए चमका ही नहीं है.
तो ऐसी होता ना, किसी को कुछ चमक जाता है. 49 अगेन मैंने तो ड्रॉ करके जुगाड़ लगा के कह दिया. आंसर चॉइसेस बहुत अच्छी थी फॉर द चेंज. आंसर जो है 8 से ज्यादा 18 तो हो ही नहीं सकता था. फिगर बनाओगे ना ठीक ठाक. क्वेश्चन 49, guys and girls, please make the figure to scale. And the moment I see angle ABC is twice the angle of the other of the ACB, मेरे को तो 30-60 एंगल दिखता है. So I go 30-60-90 राइट ट्रायंगल, उसमें मैंने फिगर में सब जगह पॉइंट डाल दिए. आंसर दिख गया कि यार 12 ही होना चाहिए.
6 से तो रीजनेबली बड़ा होगा, 18 हो नहीं सकता.
18 तो बहुत ज्यादा, ऐसा फिगर बनता ही नहीं है यार. ठीक है, ठीक है. सो क्वेश्चन 50 तो कहने लायक ही नहीं था. बहुत अच्छा सवाल था, देखते ही पता चलता है इट्स नॉट वर्थ अटेम्प्टिंग.
It's not worth attempting. Right.
ठीक है, कुछ भी नहीं दिया, कैंडीज नहीं दी, नंबर ऑफ स्टूडेंट्स नहीं दिया. आप डिवाइड कर करके डिफरेंस निकाल के सॉल्व करोगे, कर सकते हो. बट देन इट इज अगेन इट्स अ थीटा.
It's a theta.
No help from the choices also. Okay.
What
51 I think.
ठीक है, I think we'll come to that. 50 का I don't know what percentage people tried it.
It was classified as difficult, so the accuracy was fairly low. Iski. It was some 15-20% accuracy.
50 was attempted by I think 20% of the people. Accuracy was close to 4%.
51 सिंपल है, 52 सिंपल है.
52 बहुत अच्छा क्वेश्चन है. ये ऑलमोस्ट जुगाड़ हो गया था मेरा. एरिया ऑफ द स्क्वायर जो है दैट विल बी 4√3 स्क्वायर व्हिच इज 48. ओनली चॉइस 2 and 3 आर गिविंग मी -48. अनफॉर्चुनेटली वो सॉल्व करना पड़ गया उसके बाद.
एक मिनट, इसका जो टोटल एरिया होगा वो 48 से तो ज्यादा होना चाहिए ना.
हाँ, देखो आंसर 2 या 3 होगा. 60 पाई -48 या 36 पाई -48.
उसी लॉजिक से तुम्हारा जो एरिया ऑफ द सर्कल 48 पाई से ज्यादा होनी चाहिए.
अरे हाँ यार, ये नहीं तो
तो 65 माइनस ही होगा.
हाँ 60 ही होगा. हाँ 36 पाई माइनस 48.
36 पाई तो नहीं हो सकता because your
36 पाई से तो ज्यादा ही
your
होगा.
radius has to be more than the length of the
Yeah,
side.
absolutely. हाँ 53 तो आई होप लोगों ने 100 रेनकोट लेके सॉल्व कर लिया होगा. 54 बहुत अच्छे सवाल होते हैं, साइक्लिसिटी होती है, पैटर्न होता है. दिस इज अ स्टैंडर्ड जुगाड़ क्वेश्चन वेयर यू जस्ट कीप ऑन calculating the first 5, 6, 7 terms and get the pattern, get the answer.
ये शशांक 53 and 55 का attempt percentage and average time क्या है? I think these are examples of questions that students might have felt are long.
Long, frustrating, but these are types, some of the types that have been coming in the recent CATs.
Yeah.
53
No, but 53, if you just assume 100 raincoats at 10 rupee a raincoat, it is not going to take you more than 2.5, 3 minutes.
GP very simple to solve.
Actually-
I'm saying reading में बहुत लंबा लग रहा है. Many students
Reading में लंबा है.
लंबा है.
No, but the
इससे
thing
पूछा था.
is 50% के आसपास लोगों ने अटेम्प्ट किया. Accuracy is close to 80 and
Very good.
time is
Time taken.
2.4 minutes.
Not bad.
Which is-
तब तो सही है.
2.4
perfect.
minutes is perfectly fine, na?
Perfect है.
Question 55 again लंबा लिखता है, but look at the choices. 41,000, 82,000, 92,000, 1,84,000. And again in this, if you look at it, the Shashank, can you just underline that part? जो average sales दी हुई है. Each sales employee generates 1.1 lakh. Operation वाला 0.88 lakhs. तीसरा वाला 1 lakh. Average इन तीनों का कुछ भी करोगे 1 लाख के आसपास ही आएगा.
हाँ. ये वाला ना.
हाँ.
Yeah.
And इसके ऊपर वाली लाइन, average revenue per employee increased by 6,400. हाँ. Now, if you look at the first one, 1.1, 0.88, 1 lakh, the average is likely to be around 1 lakh only. If it reduces by 6,400, the answer will be about 95,000. Choice नहीं आ सकती आंसर्स का. तो इसमें बहुत लंबी कहानी, कैलकुलेट करने को भी बहुत कुछ है, लेकिन कहना कुछ नहीं है. 56 अगेन बहुत अच्छा सवाल लगा.
मतलब 56 तो
इसमें कुछ भी नहीं है ना.
कुछ भी नहीं है.
कुछ भी
2
नहीं.
है.
You see, 5 into the divisor plus the remainder should be equal to the number.
5 into 4
Unit
plus
digit
2.
compare करो ना.
That's it.
X is the unit digit of the number.
Correct.
5 into 4, 20, 0, 0 plus 2, 2.
सिर्फ ट्रैक द लास्ट डिजिट ना. वो 0
Yeah,
प्लस
because
2 का आंसर ना.
Unit digit खाली चेक करना था.
बस.
ये बच्चे ने छोड़ा तो नहीं होगा ना ये.
I hope
ये
not.
वाला क्वेश्चन नंबर 56 बहुत लोगों ने छोड़ा है. 35% अटेम्प्ट है.
रियली
वाह.
ये सब ये सब तैयारी करके क्या फायदा बताओ.
ये बहुत आसान सवाल था. 57 again is a standard question. Okay, so I don't think it should be an issue. 58 बहुत अच्छा सवाल लगा.
Sir, 57, unfortunately, it has been attempted by 22% of the people. Accuracy is 45%.
Why?
I don't know.
नहीं, but एक बात बताओ. अच्छा,
I think
इसका ना मैंने
many of them would have written into 3 किया होगा, into 2 करने के बजाय.
I don't
See,
know.
when you do A, B, C ना, ये जो angle represented by one side, they would have. I have a feeling.
फिगर बना लो ना. फिगर बना के देख लो क्या दिक्कत है.
Correct.
Internal angle is 162, so external angle is 18. So, and the sum of external angle
20
is
sides
360.
है.
Side
हाँ,
20 आ
X
गई.
में 20 sides है, Y में 10 sides है. 10 sides का मतलब 36, 144 हो गया. ठीक है, बट क्वेश्चन नंबर 58 बहुत अच्छा क्वेश्चन है. इसको एक मिनट जस्ट होल्ड ऑन टू क्वेश्चन 58. We need to
ये
find
choice
the
से हो
ratio.
जाएगा.
हाँ,
Choice से कर लेना चाहिए. 5:3,
हाँ,
5:4 ये
इसमें एक और चीज थी. इसमें एक मिनट मैं बताता हूँ. इसमें आंसर या 5:3 है या 5:4 है. Don't even worry about the other choices. Look at it this way. In scheme A, you have spent 50,000 rupees. Scheme B plus C is 70,000 rupees. So that means first number should be a factor of 50. Choice 3 and 4. So scheme ABC, ACB will be 50-30-40 और 50-40-30. एक को चेक करो, उससे आंसर आ गया तो ठीक है, नहीं तो अगला वाला होगा. Question 60 again is similar. Take values ना. देखो ये तो पहला चीज अगर राइट साइड में 1 है, it is your standard CAT question. It will be 0 plus 1 or 1 plus 0.
So A equal to B.
If you say A minus B is 0, that means it is 3 minus 2 minus 2, let's say. And C minus A is 1, so C को 3 ले दिया. चाहे निकाल लो ना आंसर, क्यों टेंशन ले रहे हो?
Right.
This is a standard जुगाड़ where the general case is given, take a specific case. 61 10 सेकंड का सवाल था, सवाल पढ़ने के बाद. We need to find in what ratio should the mixture of A and C be combined with solution B. Last line ये है, but इसके 2 लाइन ऊपर पढ़ते हैं. Shashank, can you highlight that? He wants to prepare, question 61, he wants to prepare 180 liters of solution containing 54% acid using solution A and C in the ratio of 1:2. बस. A and C in the ratio of 1:2. हाँ, in the ratio of 1:2. यानी A 1 है, C 2 है, तो टोटल 3 होगा ना. Choice C should be the answer. Check for 3:2, you get the answer. Question 62 again, figure बना लो, similar triangles आ जाएगा. It's not an issue at all.
ट्रेपेजियम में तो सिमिलर ही बनता है हमेशा.
Question 65 में मैं ख्याल से जिन्होंने आफ्टर 10th मैथ्स नहीं किया है, they would have struggled because नॉन रियल रूट्स उनको शायद आयोटा वाला फंडा मालूम है कि नहीं, वही मालूम नहीं है.
लेकिन
नहीं
apart
है
from that,
क्लास 10th में है.
क्लास 10th में है, फिर ठीक है.
so 3 रूट तो दिख ही रहे हैं, 0 1 -1.
हाँ, 0 1 -1 तो पहले दिख जाता है. वो रियल रूट्स की प्रॉब्लम नॉन रियल रूट्स की है.
नॉन रियल रूट i माइनस i के अलावा हो ही नहीं सकते हैं, क्योंकि क्वाड्रेटिक
नहीं, अगर my assumption was till 10 students would not have studied about this. They would have studied only in 11. But if they studied in 10, then it's not an issue. 66 is a straightforward question. We can leave that.
हाँ.
67 एक और सेट पूरी करना पड़ेगा. 68 में मेरे को इसमें पहली तो लड़कियों का रोल ही नहीं समझ आया, उसके बिना हो जाता है.
इनफैक्ट 68 में, 68 में it is not just maximum, it is also the minimum. It is actually the unique value. 7.5.
It is a unique value. Yeah, third girl, she'll pay 1/6 of the total.
नहीं जी, वो actually maximum नहीं होना चाहिए. What is the possible amount paid by this girl, or what is the amount paid by this girl होनी चाहिए? One of the choice should have and cannot be determined.
तब थोड़ा मेहनत लगता है इसमें, बट इसमें तो कुछ नहीं था.
इसमें तो 7.5 सीधा लास्ट स्टेटमेंट से आ जाता है.
लास्ट स्टेटमेंट बहुत है. But quite a few questions which you would have solved with the help of choices. And so those of the students who are saying कि इसमें कम नंबर आए हैं, possibly you missed out on using the choices. And दो एक जो हम लोग मैं मिस कर गया था, शशांक ने बता दिया, शिवकू ने बता दिया. 2 एक्स्ट्रा सवाल थे.
So एक चीज मैं बोलूंगा कि you have an option of question paper. Click on question paper, open it, so that you can see multiple questions at the same time. A lot of times that helps. It helps in LR, it helps in QA. When you are able to see 3 questions at a time, then you are able to understand which one you want to pick, which one you want to leave. So that is one thing you can work on. Apart from that, तो बाकी तो वही चीजें हैं जो हमेशा चलती हैं. If you are able to understand the question, solve it, or else leave. That's it.
Okay. Shashank, एक बार questions ले लें. Let's see if there are few questions from the students. Yes, शायद तुम्हारे केस में यहाँ पे भी रिवीजन चाहिए. If you are not able to reach the end, despite leaving a few tougher ones, check how much time are you spending in the other questions. And if you are still spending high amount compared with the top 10% of the students, the time for top 10% of the students.
Shreyas, I think practice. What are you?
ये इंटरेस्टिंग क्वेश्चन है. मतलब आई डिडंट अंडरस्टैंड द क्वेश्चन. इन QA प्रॉब्लम सीम्स टू बी एन एप्लीकेशन. मतलब कॉन्सेप्ट सब समझ आ गए, बस अप्लाई करना नहीं आता. इज दैट व्हाट इट मींस? तब तो एक ही आंसर है. अगर कॉन्सेप्ट सारे समझ आ गए, एज मेनी क्वेश्चंस एज यू कैन प्रैक्टिस, लाइक शशांक स्टेटेड. बट इफ यू मीन समथिंग एल्स, देन प्लीज लेट अस नो. बिकॉज क्वांट में तो दो ही चीज होती है. यहाँ कॉन्सेप्ट होता है, यहाँ एप्लीकेशन और कॉन्सेप्ट होता है.
एप्लीकेशन होती है और कुछ नहीं होता. एंड वन मोर थिंग जी, आई टेल यू कि लोगों को प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. उनकी दिक्कत क्या है? उनकी दिक्कत एप्लीकेशन नहीं है, उनकी दिक्कत कॉम्प्रिहेंशन है. सो इफ समवन एक्सप्लेन्स देम द क्वेश्चन, दे कैन सॉल्व इट. वो खुद नहीं कॉम्प्रिहेंड कर पा रहे हैं कि क्वेश्चन का मीनिंग क्या है. आफ्टर द वीडियो सोल्यूशन और द सोल्यूशन, दे व्हेन वी आर रिकॉर्डिंग द सोल्यूशन, वी आर एक्सप्लेनिंग द क्वेश्चन कि ये करना है, ये करना है. देन एवरीवन अंडरस्टैंड्स कि अच्छा हाँ ये तो करना है, ये तो हो जाएगा. बट before that, they themselves are unable to understand, okay, this is the process. हर क्वेश्चन सिंपल एंड कंपाउंड टेस्ट के क्वेश्चन में सिंपल एंड कंपाउंड टेस्ट ही तो निकालना है. क्या एप्लीकेशन है उसमें? So the problem is the comprehension. Read it. So if you want to understand, solve a lot of questions, read it slowly and don't try to rush in your practice. ऐसा नहीं है कि वो ऐसा नहीं होता कि आप जिम गए और एक दिन में 2 किलो पाउडर खा लिया, अगले दिन सुबह उठे 6 पैक आ गए. ठीक है, you have to spend a lot of time. Then only you are able to see the differences, right? Now Anirudh has said we haven't picked up his question. This one.
अनिरुद्ध, जितने क्वेश्चन हमने डिस्कस किए हैं और जुगाड़ सॉल्यूशंस डाले हैं, उनको एक बार देख लो and start revising them. Race to 99 will be talking about the complete process of Jugaad, and they hopefully it will hopefully help you in increasing your attempts also. And the third thing, as I always say, speed increase happens through revision, not through practice. So if you're only practicing and not revising, then speed increase is unlikely to happen. You will still have a high accuracy, but you will be constrained with your number of attempts. For example, in this paper, I would say 15 to 16 attempts was definitely doable, if not more. गौतम, एक ये और एक फीडबैक है. Seems to be a good idea. एक बार देख लो इसको भी. ठीक है.
Sure. Noted.
जुगाड़ याद नहीं आता, so you can't learn जुगाड़ during the exam when you are solving the question. जुगाड़.
See, all जुगाड़ question, keep revising them. No?
ये interesting question है. How to play, and I love the word usage also. How to play with theta regarding estimation guesses in the last 2 to 3 minutes for quant and DILR. How to play with it. So I first and foremost, good. I hope your comprehension skills are good because you've used a nice, very interesting word there. DILR में at least I always feel that theta becomes slightly easier than quant more often than not, mainly because DILR में you generally know a range of the answers. You generally know इसके बीच में आंसर होगा. तो जब आप guess करने जाते हो, if you've understood a range, then there is a probability of success. Imagine if the range is 5, then there is a probability of success of almost 20%. So DILR में I generally state if you can get a basic estimation of इसके बीच में है, then उसके बीच में randomly go ahead and guess something. It always helps. For example, वो वाला जो set था जिसमें आपको ये करना था, कौन सा है ये, 1 sec, ये पैरा SF फर्स्ट बटालियन, पैरा SF 9th बटालियन वेन डायग्राम वाला ही जो हम लोग बोल रहे हैं. यहाँ पे there were some 2-3 questions which were theta, right? But in those theta questions, generally an estimated range at least you will get to. For example, in the first question itself, an estimated range you could have got into. Like the first question of this set was basically minimum of each करना था और उसको ऐड करना था, right? Something as simple as that. तो आप estimate कर सकते हो. So in certain places, estimation helps. In quant, it boils down to the question. It boils down to what is being asked. But generally, by rule of thumb, I always state theta question है. Last 2 to 3 minutes भी शायद मैं ना रखूँ. I would probably keep last 45 seconds to a minute, and I would have marked everything, in the marked for review, and I would just go to those 6-7 questions and answer randomly in a particular range. It's a good thing to think कि last 2-3 मिनट में मैं कैसे maximize कर पाऊंगा, but ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि CAT के previous years में हमने देखा है थीटा का यही आंसर maximum होता है तो आप ये वाला आंसर लिख के आओ and you'll get it. So there is no such जुगाड़ that we can give in terms of that. So I would say just relax a little, don't worry so much about it.
And Avinash, don't wait for the last 2-3 minutes ना. जब सवाल दिखा कुछ मार्क करके चले जाओ यार. सही होना होगा तो तब भी हो जाएगा, नहीं होना होगा तो बाद में भी नहीं होगा. So
and mark for review
तो जाके ये कहना है.
And mark for review कर दो उस टाइम में, because there is a possibility you might want to come back to it later on. और कुछ करते करते similar type of question आ गया same concept का and suddenly कुछ strike कर गया. Oh, इसमें तो मैं ये भी कर सकता हूँ. So do the mark for review for sure. This is, one thing I want to state while we're looking at a lot of questions here. This is a prime example of a mock. If you look at both the DILR and the quant section, where anybody who is thinking that, a topic like number system, I will not study for CAT. This is a prime example of a mock where you would have struggled. Main reason, if you are decent with numbers, LRDI में 2 set numbers and उससे affinity से हो जाते हैं. For example, that entire pyramid 1 was nothing but numbers. It was addition. So, we always state this, that while arithmetic and algebra needs to be a core focus, don't give up on geometry and numbers. So this to me is a prime example of a paper where numbers would have helped you a lot when it comes to quant and DILR. So I hope you keep that in mind and you go ahead and utilize it. What is the secret of? मैंने भी यही select किया था अभी. What is the secret of your ability to solve these tough questions in seconds, GP?
मुझसे पूछा है क्या?
वो tough questions in seconds. हमने
Tough
assume कर
question,
लिया.
I leave it in seconds, na? The ability to leave tough question in seconds is the key thing, yeah. It is not about, it is you get marks for easy questions in a short span of time. Difficult questions, if you are trying to solve, you will either get them wrong or you'll waste a lot of time, and then maybe you'll get it right. So to me, tough questions करना ही नहीं है पेपर में. जुगाड़ जो है, जो if you are talking about that, you need to practice. Fortunately for me, that is the way I've always worked, so it has never been hard for me. But for those of you who are not used to it, my request and suggestion would be, जितने जुगाड़ question आज तक देखे हैं, सबको keep revising them so that the method becomes a part and parcel of you.
The art of anything fabulous. 94 is fabulous.
Sir, I have to leave now. I have a class.
Yeah, sure.
Chalo. I think we can take this question. 94 appears to be good, yeah. Art of anything, again, go by the percentile. Don't worry about हमको क्या ठीक लगता है. Ultimately, whether I think it's easy or difficult does not matter. It is your performance that matters. If at 94 marks you are getting a good percentile, then it's a good score. However, you should still need to ask yourself, how could I have improved it? And that is where the OCAD score and paper analysis becomes important.
Yeah, so I will just upload the PPT. I think last part is left. So I think we can just go through the last part while the PPT is getting uploaded.
कौन सा क्वेश्चन है जो मिस हो गया? Gautam, question.
Been great in arithmetic numbers and modeling and Mukesh with algebra. I'm not good at geometry. Can you suggest some tips? GP का जुगाड़ book helped a lot. Thank you. Lovely. So, GP, you've posed this question to somebody who personally also hates geometry and personally doesn't.
गौतम, आवाज का इशू आ रहा है फिर से.
Is it still an issue or is it
now
better?
it's okay? No, now it's fine.
Yeah, so I'm saying you posed this question basically at somebody who himself also hates geometry. So my solution to geometry is very, very simple. My method of preparation is मैं 2D geometry पूरा कर लूंगा. मतलब मैं 3D generally जाता नहीं हूँ. I don't get too deep into cubes, sphere, cuboid, pyramid, so on and so forth. I'll do 2D completely. जो चीजें हम लोग ने class 6, 7, 8 तक किया है, and I concentrate there. So questions around angle finding, questions around find the length of this, where you can go ahead and create figures. That's one. Second, I don't know whether you all followed it or not, but GP stated this twice in this paper. Draw the figure to scale. इसका ये मतलब नहीं रूलर लेके जाओ एंड ड्रॉ इट टू स्केल. इसका ये मतलब है कि मैंने अगर इतने लेंथ को मेजर करके 8 सेंटीमीटर्स बोला है तो इसका हाफ विल बी 4, इसका 1/4 विल बी 2. दैट स्केल, योर स्केल. And sometimes when you go ahead and draw a figure like that to scale, and then you go ahead and start plotting, you will realize देख के ये angle 60 लग रहा है, देख के ये angle 140 लग रहा है, ऑप्शन से एलिमिनेट हो जाता है. So मैं ज्योमेट्री में जनरली ये दो चीजें बोलता हूँ because I am also one of those who can't remember a lot of formulae. So 3D में वो थोड़े फॉर्मूले भी याद रखने पड़ते हैं, एरिया का, सरफेस एरिया का, वॉल्यूम का, मेरे को याद नहीं रहते. And generally you don't have adequate amount of time to derive it. But I think the Jugaad methodology that GP just spoke about, which is drawing figures to scale, and secondly, identify 1 or 2 areas. Like I have always identified angle finding वाला जो area है ना, ये मैं करूंगा. Heights and distances जो है ये मैं करूंगा. I know these are 2 areas in geometry which I can handle. And ये 2 एरिया से मुझे पता है कम से कम 1-2 क्वेश्चन तो निकल के आएंगे. ज्योमेट्री में टोटल 5 क्वेश्चन होते हैं. Yeah.
And Gautam, just to add to what you said, I am exactly opposite of Gautam. मैं mensuration पक्का करूंगा. Areas, volumes, surface area, ये मेरे को आता है. I know these formulas. But when it comes to angle finding, I'll completely get confused. वहाँ मैं figure draw करके काम कर लूंगा. So for me, it is mensuration along with a mensuration, area, volume, etc. along with drawing the figure for the regular geometry question. Secondly, Rudra, my suggestion to you also would be all the old CAT questions of geometry. 2-3-4 बार कर लो, रट जाएगा. CAT के सवाल वैसे ही आते हैं. They are not creating new questions all the time. The same concepts are again being used.
Correct. Okay. So I think we reached 2 things, GP. I just want to reiterate.
Yeah. Gautam, again, that voice issue.
I have no idea what is happening. I hope now it's fine.
Now it's okay.
मैं each time unmute करता हूँ, फिर mute करता हूँ, unmute करता हूँ, ठीक हो जाता है. So I'm guessing there is some issue. Let me get that resolved tomorrow. But yeah, I'll just reiterate, which is something that Shashank and GP spoke about earlier as well, which is the RT99 event. It's coming back once again on the 2nd and 3rd of August. It's online. Post that, we start our Bharat Brahman, all of us, where we start traveling. Hope to see you all physically at in specific cities as well. So please ensure that you attend the event on the 2nd and 3rd, because it's going to be a prelude to what we're going to cover when we catch up with you all physically. So please ensure that you register for it. All of you who are enrolled at CL, you don't need to pay anything. Just go ahead to your MyZone and register for this event. In case there's somebody here who is not enrolled currently with Career Launcher, please go ahead and enroll for the same. And similarly, in the same breath, I want to talk about this very specific thing, because it is probably one of the biggest game changers that you're going to experience this year in your CAT preparation. CAT is expected to be on the 30th of November, is what our expectation is as of now. I hope it ends up being true, and I'm guessing the notification is around the corner. Maybe this Sunday it will come out. So CAT is expected to be on 30th November. Multiple things: admit card aana, reaching the center 1 to 1.5 hours before the actual time, before the actual slot, फ्रिस्किंग एट द सेंटर, जहां आपकी घड़ी ले ली जाएगी, आपकी चेन ले ली जाएगी एंड मल्टीपल थिंग्स, फोन ले लिया जाएगा. रीचिंग द सेंटर, सिटिंग इन फ्रंट ऑफ अ ब्लैंक स्क्रीन फॉर हाफ एन आवर 45 मिनट्स, थिंकिंग क्या होगा मेरे साथ. टेकिंग दैट एग्जाम विथ 100 200 300 मोर पीपल सीटेड नेक्स्ट टू यू. 2 लोग जिनको कुछ नहीं समझ आ रहा, 10 लोग जो बहुत जल्दी जल्दी आंसर कर रहे हैं और आपको पता नहीं आपका क्या चल रहा है. दैट एंड मच मच मोर, द रियल लाइफ एक्सपीरियंस ऑफ व्हाट कैट विल बी, we bring that to you with the all India open CDC mock, which is going to take place from the 8th to the 11th of August. Once again, if you're a classroom student or an online classes student, it's free for you. Just go ahead and register. If you're a test series student, there is a nominal charge, just 99 plus GST. Please go ahead and register on that, for that also from your MyZone. So these are 2 things that I wanted to point out. Do not miss this opportunity, because nobody else will be able to provide you with this sort of an opportunity, and this is something that will hold you in good stead in terms of your learning, because these are certain intangibles that you end up avoiding. Okay, this test is on the 8th, from the 8th of August to the 11th of August. Okay, these 4 days, the registration is available in your MyZone. Go ahead and do that. Okay, no, this exam has not happened, Amit. This is from the 8th to the 11th of August. Time hai abhi. This is all India open CDC mock 2. Okay. Yeah, GP. I think there were a couple of questions that came.
Okay. Odisha, कौन आ रहा है मालूम नहीं है रुद्रा. Someone, either me or Gautam. One of the Gautam will be there most probably. It could be someone else also. But the important thing is not who's coming. The important thing is attend the online RT99, because that is where we build the base. We teach you about how to use Jugaad and other things, and then we have a follow-up session which is building upon that knowledge in the offline mode. Okay. So online we will be covering the CAT 24 slot 2 paper. Offline we will be covering CAT 24 third slot paper, and we'll build up on what we did online.
थोड़ा prescriptive है, but I'll pick this question as well. Please tell me how many questions should I practice per topic to clear the CAT exam. Please tell me in numbers. So very, very prescriptive question. The way I put it is, forget per topic or something like that. Every single day on an average, if you're doing roughly about 15 odd questions in quant, 10 to 15 questions, I think you'll be in a good place. You have roughly about close to about 120 odd days, 100 odd days. So go ahead and look at it from that perspective. 120 into about 10, you're talking about 1200 into 15, about 1800. 1500 to 1800 questions, break that down into subtopics. I think you'll be in a good place. But important thing is not only attempting, यार. Attempt के बाद analyze कर रहा हूँ, समझ रहा हूँ, trend identification हो रही है, what went wrong, was I able to understand? When I put that into practice in a mock, is there improvement? If there is improvement, going back to the table and understanding what went wrong. All of that is what is going to be the important part. Just going mad after quantum is not the right way to approach it. Okay, I think more or less, GP, we covered everything. एक last question ले लेते हैं, GP, your take. I'm really scared of DILR, hold apprehensions when it comes to solving any guidance.
Isha, please remember, no one has studied DILR before they start preparing for CAT. The only difference between you and others is that they have got over that fear and started working on it, and you are still afraid and you probably have not started. So, ज़्यादा tension मत लो. DILR की फंडा बुक उठाओ. Start going through the data sets. Okay? And remember, this is not a difficult paper. DILR, it looks difficult because this is something you have never studied. But once you start doing it, I can assure you, you will be able to handle it. Isha, just as a follow-up, how good are you in arithmetic? Okay. Because anyone who can handle the basics of arithmetic, percentage change, for example, then there's one set is waiting for you in CAT. Okay. So DILR always has one data set which will be simple percentage change, growth rate, kind of question. Similarly, if you in arithmetic, if you can handle number system, almost every paper has one set of number system. Even this paper had. So Kisha is saying I'm doing decently well with arithmetic. So Kisha, it is just your fear. जो आपको रोका हुआ है. So don't worry about this. Just start working. So if you don't want to start with your funder book, look at the solutions of, for example, this paper. Go through the video solutions which Gautam has prepared. Go set by set. Don't worry if it takes you 30 minutes to go through the set and understand it, because that is where your base will start getting built up. The good thing about DILR is there is no syllabus. So you can start from wherever you want, pick up any set, वहां से learning चालू हो जाएगी. So your starting point could be look at only those sets जिसका video solution है. Start with the mocks and start doing one by one. Similarly, daily dose is the other thing you can look at. Okay? Just start doing it. Struggle आता है फिर बात करना, बताएंगे क्या करना, but at least get started with it.
GP, there's one thing that I'd add to that. I hope मेरी आवाज ठीक है.
Bottom again. Unmute. Sorry.
That's the question also. I hope मेरी आवाज ठीक है. Because मैं बहुत देर तक unmuted था. One thing that I would add to what you stated, GP, was maybe try a little bit of Sudoku or Wordle every day as well. It just helps you, just doing that. Travel कर रहे हो, Sudoku खेल लिया, Wordle खेल लिया. It just opens up your mind. It also helps you start thinking and get a little bit more confident कि ऐसा जब आता है मेरा दिमाग चलता है. And कई बार होता क्या है, Sudoku का logic कई बार sets में भी लग जाता है. That one number coming only once in a row, once in a column and stuff like that. So my recommendation along with everything that GP stated was also include that in your preparation. It might help you relax as well, but these games I think are quite interesting games and they really help open up your brain a little. Shanat, your question, which is related to the open mock, the option to select an exam center. CAT does not allow you to select a center. CAT only allows you to select cities. So we are going to replicate CAT. We are allowing you to select one city. We will give you a center in that city. Center kahan hoga, that you will get to know in your admit card, exactly like CAT. I told you we are replicating CAT as much as we can in this particular mock.
Okay, one question from Avinash. Avinash, in section test able to do well, even 10 to 15 accuracy numbers in mock, may be scared because of first company. Okay. Avinash, जितना प्रेशर लोगे उतना ज्यादा प्रेशर आएगा. Okay. Treat the mock like a section test only and things will be fine. Remember, end of the day, it is the same kind of questions which are there in section tests are there in mocks. It is not that that they become very difficult or very different in mocks. Okay? So just remember that and focus on the process. Don't worry about the score. So the process is read the question. If you understand the question, you know how to solve it. If you don't understand the question or if you understand कि होगा नहीं, छोड़ दो अगले पे चले जाओ. Just follow the basic process and then things will fall in place. Don't worry about the score and then don't be too paranoid or don't panic. No one is going to give you admission anywhere based on your mock scores. So don't worry about these scores at all. Just relax a little.
Just one thing, if I were to add to it, GP, just one thing to the previous question is, what is the difference between a topic test, sectional test, and an overall mock? The only difference is the time. Mere anusar. It is basically a 2-hour paper that you're doing. It's 3 back-to-back sectionals. So I state this number of times and I'll probably just reiterate that. Are you practicing this part of sitting continuously for 2 hours, of starting off with VARC, moving to DILR after you've not understood 1 or 2 RCs and you've been slightly confused, moving through to quant after you had a torturous 1 or 2 set in DILR? Have you practiced that enough? That is the difference between a sectional and a topic test. कई बार होता क्या है, ये same DILR का पेपर जो इस mock में था, had we given this to you as a sectional test and you had taken this with a fresh mind, you would have realized probably I was able to attempt 8 questions, 10 questions, 12 questions. But mock के अंदर I was able to attempt only 3 questions or 4 questions. फर्क क्या था? Fresh mind के साथ कर रहा हूँ, कोई stress नहीं है, पता है कि इसमें कोई percentile होना नहीं है, benchmarking नहीं है, I am chill. Mock में all of that changes, the intangibles change. So please try practicing that as much as possible is the thing that I'll put in, because the only difference between a sectional and an overall mock is it is 3 back-to-back sectionals. So try keeping that in mind. Okay, 1 or 2 more questions. GP, yeah, your suggestion on VARC. Madhav has asked this 2 to 3 times. I think he's facing a little bit of problem with respect to VARC. So he's asking, sir, any suggestions?
Because when it comes to VARC, to me, the first and foremost thing is it is reading comprehension, which is critical. Verbal is also important, but reading comprehension is critical. Because even if you do the entire verbal, you will still not get more than 24 marks, which means you will be below the 95 percentile mark, more or less. Okay? Secondly, when it comes to VARC, the issue has to be that when you're reading a passage, your focus should be on getting the big picture, understanding the big picture, and rather than trying to understand each and every word, each and every line. Because when you try to understand each and every word and line, you will get lost in the passage and you will not be able to get the big picture. Majority of the question in CAT RC are about big picture. What is the overall theme of the passage? So in the verbal section, you have that question, summary wala question. That is what, after reading the passage, if you can write a 3-4 line summary of that passage, you have understood the passage. That is what you need. You don't need to know each and every minute detail. Based on that, you can go to the question and apply beast or whatever elimination technique you want to apply that and get to the answer. Secondly, if you don't understand the question or you are absolutely confused between two choices, leave it. Don't go back to the passage to hunt for the answer, because all it will do, it will waste your time and eat into your time of the subsequent passage. So the approach that you need to have for an RC passage is read the passage once at the pace at which you are comfortable. Based on that understanding, go to the questions. Whichever question you understand, mark the answer. Whichever you don't understand, leave it and move on. There's another thing. Some of you may be born readers, which means you have been reading since you were a child. Please don't use any technique. Just read the passage, jo theek lagta mark karo, aage jao, because you have been reading for so long. Your logic of understanding the answer is already there. So you don't need any technique. Just back yourself. Believe in yourself. Whatever looks logical, sensible, right to you, just mark it and move on. Don't get stuck anywhere is extremely important. Okay? So that's what I would say, Madhav.
Just one or two more things, GP, that I might add is drill down analysis. Please have a look at. In every mock, the sum total of all the questions that came, please have a look at your drill down analysis. Like GP stated, you might realize कि main idea में problem है. Main idea में अगर problem है, you will also realize summary questions में problem है. RC का main idea and VA के summary questions. Funda is more or less the same. More or less the same. And you will realize both are an issue. You will know an area that you need to operate. You might realize factual questions में issue आ रहा है, like GP stated. उन questions में you are not able to remember. You need to keep going back, and when you keep going back, you get more confused. You are unable to find कौन से paragraph में ये line थी, बोलना क्या चाह रहा था, आगे का पढ़ना है पीछे का. Which means memory is a problem. Which means when I'm reading every day, I will also want to reach to a situation that say I take about 3.5-4 minutes to read a 500 word passage, then I would want to give it to a friend or somebody or a sibling on stage. मेरे से ना factual questions पूछो, मैं memory से answer करता हूँ, and have something to lose there. For each question you go wrong, 50 rupees दिए, कुछ दिए, have something to lose. Memory से वो करो. You will realize in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, your memory improves, and those factual questions you don't need to keep going back. You can answer most of it, or at least you can remember किस paragraph से था. Generally, these two things will hold you in good stead. If you use the drill down analysis and you use a little bit of your memory to answer the factual questions, because jo bhi ho, factual questions in RC and those fill in the blanks, ya para summary, jo bhi aap summary nahi, para completion in verbal, ye jo 5-6 questions hote hain VARC mein, either you should be looking at a close to 100% attempt and close to an 85-90% accuracy. These 4-5 questions are there to get marks. Please don't miss out on that. Okay, so I think we've picked up quite a few questions. Anything else, GP?
Yeah, I think we've covered most of this stuff. We can close here.
Perfect. So that's it from our end, guys. So
bye and good night, and see you next week. And 2nd, 3rd August, I hope you have all registered. If not, please do so immediately.
And also for the open mock, 8th to 11th. Ensure that is done. See ya. That's it from our end. Bye-bye.
Good night.